All right, welcome back to another IELTS speaking lesson. So, Mr. Are you ready for your speaking practice?
Yes, I'm ready.
Great, as always. Of course. Right, so let's start with part one first. Let's go to a few part one. Let's try 73. It's about day off. A day off is when you don't have to worry, don't have to study, don't have to work at all. So, when was the last time you had a few days off?
Well, actually, I think the last time I had my days off is my summer break. It was about just a month ago because I have been back to school, which is really annoying to me. However, about a month ago, that was my last time having any day off.
Okay, I see. So what do you usually do when you have days off?
Well, normally when I have days off, just I want myself to just stay at home and watch some movies. Or sometimes I will try something new, such as learning how to dance a few moves on TikTok. I think that's my routine when I have days off. Just the normal trivial things.
Trivial. Hmm, I see. So it means that on your day off, you don't do anything important because you mentioned trivial things, the things that doesn't matter that much. Những thứ linh tinh. Wow. So you don't do anything important during days off? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's correct. I see. So you have to say, no, I don't do anything important. You have to answer with a no, okay? Careful. Now, so do you usually spend your days off with your parents or with your friends, and why?
Well, actually, I think it depends greatly on what kind of occasions. For example, when I have about 1 or 2 days off, I would rather spend it with my friends
Mhm.
because we do not really have much time to talk to each other about our daily life because all of my friends are not in the same school with me, so it's hard for us to keep in touch with each other. But however, on when I have a summer break or when I have about 1 week or 2 weeks off, I think I would rather spend it with my parents. We can go on vacation or go on trips together to
Mm.
strengthen the family bond.
Or to spend time with your friends? No, you don't. You wouldn't like that, no?
Actually, my parents do not really allow me to go vacation like too far with my friends. Not until I'm 18, I think.
I see. So, what would you like to do if you had a day off tomorrow?
Definitely, I think I will. If I had a day off tomorrow, I probably would just stay in bed until noon, and then I just watch movies or just try to um, study a little bit, and then I will go back to sleep. That's
Mhm.
like my routine for these days off.
Why not? Days off supposed to be like that. You just enjoy your life, something like that. It's fair to do that. I do believe so. Now, so let's do 43 now. So about weekend, what do you usually do on weekends then?
On weekends, I think the most I do most is to study.
What I do most on
What
weekend
I do
then?
most on weekends is studying. Well, because the
Mm.
whole week I have a lot of homework and a lot of assignments to catch up with. So normally during any weekends, I will try my best to finish my homework. And if I have more free time, I will probably just rest or watch movies. Or sometimes I do hang out with my friends as well.
I see. I see. So, what do other people in your hometown usually do on weekends? Do you know about their activities?
I think people in my hometown usually just return to their grandparents or their relatives' house during weekends.
Hmm.
I think somehow it can be a tradition in my hometown for people to just return to their grandparents' house on weekends. And also, I think they usually hang out with their friends or their family, watch movies, or just go shopping together, or meet up in a cafe to talk to each other.
I see. And what will you do next weekend? Next weekend, which means like next Saturday, next Sunday, something like that.
Actually, I do not have a specific plan for weekends, but I think normally, but I think next weekend I will do the same routine as I have always been doing,
Mm,
which is studying, sleeping, eating, and then watching movies.
mm, I see. So it means that you spend a lot of time being in your own room and then spending time learning or watching movies for entertainment, something like that.
Yeah.
See. Now, so what did you do anything special last weekend?
Actually, last weekend I did something special.
Mm.
My family moved to a new house, so
Oh, so you just
yeah,
moved in?
yeah, I'm in my new room now.
Oh, are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy,
So you're
really
happy
happy.
with new changes and right. Would you describe it, the experience?
I think it's more spacious than the room I had in my old house, and I had, I think I have more space to like decorate with my many of the souvenirs, and I have a larger room, a larger bed, and many more space, which is
Mm,
really good for me.
I see. I see. Now, let's move on to the next one as well. Shoes. So what kind of shoes do you often wear?
I think mostly I will wear sneakers,
Mm,
just because I have to go to school almost every single day. So those kind of shoes, sneakers, will be the best option for me because they are really comfortable and it doesn't really hurt my feet when I walk or when I run too much. But I think sometimes I do wear heels, just
you mean
not really
high
high,
heels?
yeah, high heels, but like they're not too high. They and yeah,
High heel shoes
special
actually very
occasions.
uncomfortable, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
And
but
it can be dangerous too, because you can fall down easily, even though it makes you taller. Yes, correct. There's also high heels for men and women, you know. It's all for cosmetic, cosmetic purpose. Vì cái lý do thẩm mỹ thôi, cosmetic purpose. Okay, so do you like buying shoes and how often?
actually, to be honest, I really love buying shoes. I
Oh,
really like seeing myself like with the new shoes every single occasion or every time I went out to have dinner or to hang out with my friends. However, I do not really buy shoes that often. Well, the reason is I think I really I think I really consider the brands, and I think to buy authentic shoes they cost a lot, and with
mm,
my financial means right now I cannot afford buying shoes too often, so I think
of
it's
course.
probably twice or three times a year.
3 times a year? Oh my God. I only buy shoes like I think once every 3 years, something like that. You know? Okay. Maybe because whenever I buy shoes, my shoes are actually expensive, because I want quality. So I don't have to buy them often. So, but it depends a lot on how much you're willing to spend on shoes, I think. If you buy like very cheap shoes, probably they will last for you for like a half a year or even worse, like a few months, and then breaks down, you know? Now, so have you ever bought shoes online? And how was it?
Actually, I have only bought shoes online once, about when I first started my high school years. However, that experience was not really satisfactory for me
Hmm.
because
What
I
happened?
chose the wrong size for my feet.
I
So
see.
when I received the shoes, it didn't fit. It was too small for my feet, and as a result, I just couldn't wear it anywhere and just leave it there, wasteless. Yeah,
Did
it
you
was
ask
such a
for a
waste of time.
return? Did you ask for a return? Return. Do you ask the shopkeepers to return that one or to replace with a different size?
Well, I did ask, but the shop didn't reply me. So yeah,
Oh, that is bad customer service, you know.
yeah. But however, I bought it with a cheap price. So yeah, it's I think it's a lesson for me anyway.
Wow, you should report that. You should report that shop because basically that's bad customer service and that is bad overall, you know. It's like borderline scamming, to be honest with you. It's like borderline scamming. Nó giống như là gần như là muốn lừa ta luôn rồi đó. Borderline. It's borderline scamming to me. I feel like that. If some shop treated me that way, I would definitely report that app to like Shopee, for example, or Lazada or something. I would report that shop, you know. Or even worse, I would put that shop online on a post and then, you know, expose them. Expose them. Expose people means bóc phốt. To expose people means you want to expose them because they did something bad. Now, so how much money do you usually spend on shoes then, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I think I do not spend really much on shoes, because I think I will change my shoes quite often, about I think every 6 months. So normally I will buy shoes that are not too expensive, that I can afford, but they are also have to be really comfortable and have a very different style, and it matches me. So I think just about uh, under or above 500 Vietnam dong, 1,000 Vietnam dong. Yeah,
I
not too
see.
much.
I see. So which do you prefer, fashionable shoes or comfortable shoes then? Like this one is about the aspect of the shoe being usable, practical, or it just look good, you know, which one do you prefer?
Definitely, I prefer comfortable shoes, because I I have to admit that I really love wearing shoes. So so it is obvious that comfortable shoes will really serve me well, on any occasion when I have a chance. I will probably choose to wear shoes, and I have to walk a lot. So
Mhm.
without the comfortable shoes, uh, I think it's really hard for me to for my feet to not get hurt, which is really annoying to me.
I see. And so probably we have to wear so many different kind of shoes in our lives. So probably we will finally arrive at some kind of shoes that we really find interest in, you know, and we really stick with. And after a while, I'll stick with sports shoes. You know, it might sound like it's a safe option because I mean, sports shoes, they look fashionable. Yes, they do. And they are very comfortable when you wear them because of course, if you're not comfortable, you cannot play sport, right?
Yeah.
And also you can wear sports shoes for any occasions, but not like formal occasion though, because it would look weird and you would stand out, you know. Anyway, so let's go to part two now. Okay, so let's try a part 2 question. We are running out of question actually. So I might go back to things that we did before. Like for example, I might go back to a question that we have done before, like for example, history or something like crime, technology, something like that, you know? Okay. All right, let's say 90 then. Where's 90? There you go. Describe a time when you got up early. You should say when it was, what you did, why you got up early, and how you felt about it. And then part 3 of getting up early. Do you know anyone who likes to get up early? This one seems like a part 1 question, but you can make it to a part 3 question. Like you can talk about the activities, why do you have to wake up early and get up early? And like for example, people who work manual labor jobs like social workers, or sorry, not social worker, if they have to sell food on the street or sell food and run the businesses, they cannot afford to get up late, you know. They have to open early to prepare the food for the customers. Or some jobs require you to get up really early, and then you have to sweep the street, for example, or clean the things for people, you know. Like I know for a fact that my cleaning lady actually have to get up really early. Otherwise, she cannot afford to feed her family, you know. It's like she has to do like 4 or maybe even um, 5 places or 5 sessions in a day in order to be able to afford to feed her huge family, you know. Like she worked for Bitaski, yeah. Anyway, so you can talk about like why people have to get up early, what kind of job they are in, something like that. This one can be expanded to like what profession they do, you know. Cái câu này có thể mở rộng ra là cái người ta làm cái nghề gì, những người đó làm nghề gì chẳng hạn. Then why do people get up early? Talk about the reasons. Some people they get up early because of health reason, you know, because of health reason, because they want to, because it's their daily habit, maybe. Or it might be because they wake up or they get up early in order to how can they say carpe diem? Seize the day. You know, there's a saying that carpe diem, it means seize the day, which means the same as the early bird catches the worm. Chim sớm sẽ bắt được sâu thôi. It means that people who wake up early will succeed, you know. So there's a saying like that, but maybe you don't agree with me with that. You can disagree, of course. Mấy câu này mình hoàn toàn có thể bất đồng ý kiến nha. Có thể phản đối lại nha. So what kinds of occasions need people to arrive early? Think about occasions when people have to prepare in advance. Like, for example, if you arrive for your wedding, for example, you have to arrive early in order, if there are any unexpected situations that popped up, you know. If there are unexpected situations popped up, for example, you forget something, you can quickly solve it, go back home and get it, you know. Your wedding or any occasions that involve many people, like a funeral, wedding, a gathering, birthday party, something like that. If you are the one who hold those events, If you are the one who hold or organize the events yourself, you have to arrive early, of course. Now, anyone else? There are occasions when people need to arrive early. That is exam, if you're in exam, of course. If you are having an appointment with a doctor, for example, sometimes you need to arrive a bit earlier because doctors, they don't wait for you, they have to invite the next person to come in if you are late, or any kind of service like that. For example, if you go to a beauty salon, you have to book an occasion. Of course, you have to book appointment. You have to book appointment with beauty salons, and if you arrive late, they have to serve another customers, of course, something like that. Now, why do some people like to stay up late? I think you probably know the answer for this. But sometimes people stay up late just because they don't want to sleep early, because they still want to enjoy the day, or the night. They enjoy the calmness of the night, enjoy the calmness, the peace and tranquility of the night, If they sleep early, it's probably that, they are very tired during the day or something like that. But staying up late, of course, people always say staying up late is bad for your health. Yeah, but if you sleep enough during the day, you're okay. Everything will be good, should be good. Okay, so Nadi, please think about this one. Okay, Miss Thư, please describe a time when you got up early.
So I'm going to talk about a time when I went on a trip with my class and I had to get up really early. I think at about 4 a.m. in the morning. So it was about a few months ago during summer break, and I had a plan with my classmates to go on a vacation together. And I had to get up really early because our trip took about 5 hours to get to the destination. So it took about a whole morning just to travel. So that's why we had to get on the bus really early. And also I had to check again about my items and what I should carry and what I should leave at home, so that I wouldn't just I wouldn't over carry, so that I didn't carry too many things unnecessary
Unnecessary.
by my side. But uh, this time of this time I got up really early, but it was really different from any other time because I felt really excited and really happy about our trip. So getting up early was not a problem to me, and I didn't feel sleepy at all because I think I was overwhelmed with excitement and and I really looked forward to the trip and spending time with my friends. So I felt so instead of feeling sad or tired, I felt extremely happy about this kind of getting up early. And I hope I can have more chances of traveling like this. And I wouldn't mind getting up early at all.
So do you know anyone who likes to get up early?
Actually, I think I know a lot of people who like to get up early. I think the most familiar with me is my classmates, my friends. Some of them really like to get up early to study because they feel like that is the best time for them to concentrate and to finish their test. Because they cannot stay up late, and it can be really detrimental to the health. So they choose to get up early instead. And also, I think there are many people who also like to get up early, such as people who do public service, such as bus drivers, uh, because they because during the day there have to be a lot of buses. Um, there have to be a lot of buses for people to use. So I think bus drivers or taxi drivers have to get up really early so that they can serve people who are in need of traveling to some destinations. And also, I think people who sell things or sell breakfast are
You
also,
mean the people who sell goods or items or food, right?
yeah, people who sell food in particular.
Particular.
Particular, because nowadays I think people do not have enough time to just get up and make breakfast for their own, and because they have been staying up late all night, or they just didn't sleep at all, so it didn't have enough time or energy to make breakfast themselves. So instead, I think they will buy it. They will buy the food somewhere else, and the people who sell it have to get up really early in order to sell more product, to sell more food, or for people. So I think those are the people that I know who like to get up early.
I see. Now, so why do people get up early then?
Well, I think there are many reasons for why people get up early. First, I think they get up early because they, I think, for example, students or people who do, people who have who have to meet the deadline. Sometimes they choose to get up early because for those people, it is better for them to study or to work in early in the morning rather than late at night. And they feel like they can concentrate and they can accomplish their task in the most effective way in the morning. And also they can see, and also during their work or during their study, um, they can also see the dawn and or the birds chirping. So I think that somehow motivate them to uh, be more productive in their work or in their study. And also I think people, and also I think that another reason why people get up early is because they have a formal meeting or they have to go on vacations. Because the kinds of occasions, people have to get up early to prepare and to prepare themselves the best for the trip or for the meetings they are going to
Attend,
appear,
right?
yeah, to attend. So yeah, so I think that is the two reasons why people get up early.
And then what kind of occasions and what kind of occasions need people to arrive early then? This is not about getting up early, but this is about arriving early, you know.
Well, I think people need to arrive early on various occasions. For example, I think formal or occasions where, such as weddings or a funeral, I think people need to arrive early. Sometimes to catch up with the bride and the groom, or just to prepare and to help the other people with what is needed. And also, I think interviewees sometimes do have to arrive early because they are going to have a formal meeting with their manager so that they can get the job, or to or they have to arrive early so that they can prepare themselves the best, or just to pull themselves together before actually attending the interview.
I see, I see. So why do some people like to stay up late then?
Well, the reason I think why people there are many reasons for this. People I think like to stay up late, mostly because they have to study or to work. In contrast
You
to
mean
some,
they work night shift? They work night shift, you mean?
yeah, yeah. I
Like
mean,
Hmm.
sometimes they have to like work at home, not like they do the homework or meet the deadline, or sometimes they have to work night shifts. Yeah.
Or work online actually. Or sometimes they have to do like extra work overtime, you know. If you have to overtime, a lot of the time you have to stay up late, you know. It's unavoidable. And there are sometimes out of work hours, you still need to go back to your work and check things. And that can lead to you staying up late. Like, for example, if you are a teacher, for example, you have to grade the exams of your students, right? And a lot of the time there are the paperwork that needs to be done. So it means that you have to stay up late a lot. Any other thing?
And also, I think it can be attributed to their habits because, well, for some people, they have been accustomed to staying up late, and sometimes they just cannot get themselves sleep early. So they, instead of going to bed early, they will stay up late and try to finish whatever whatever necessary
Hmm,
or uh, the work or the unexpected things that can pop up.
I see. Now, okay, that's snotty. Now let's move on to the next one. Describe someone who is older than you that you admire. Well, a lot of people who are older than you should admire, you know. You should say who this person is, how you knew this person, what kinds of things you like to do together. Interesting that you have to say things you like to do together. You mean it's like you know and you meet this person already, and then you need to do things together with this person. Explain how you feel about this person. This is 91. And then part three, what can young and old people learn from each other? I think we have done something similar in the past. Now, has old people's life quality improved when compared to the past? So you have to compare what happened like years ago. How's the healthcare system? And you should also talk about life expectancy, you know, kỳ vọng sống. It means back then people were only expected to live until like 70 years old, something like that. But now it's about 100 years old because of the healthcare system has been improved and improved in technology, improved in the pills, the methods to keep people alive, you know, and live well, better living standards, for example, những tiêu chuẩn sống tốt hơn, something like that, compared to the past, you know. And think about how life quality has improved. Think about the food. Think about the number of devices to serve humans' needs. You know, to serve human needs. Look at all the machines that help us clean our home. The machines to make our life easier, something like that. You know, and think about also like how people think differently compared to the past is also make life quality improve. Think about marriage or divorce rate, mức độ mà ly hôn và kết hôn con người ta như thế nào, and what people think can actually affect people's life quality, you know. Like nobody wants to live alone, you know. Think about this one. Of course, a lot of things are improved in life quality, but a lot of things also go down too, because people in the past, they care for each other much more than now. You think about like the advent of social media and technology. So of course, people these days, how people communicate these days, is it through like apps, through texting more? Do people meet each other more? How do people work? Working environment actually affect the life quality. But this question focuses on old people, you know. So probably they have already retired. So think about does the young generations care about them? Something like that. How about like do they have friends to talk to when they're old? Something like that, you know. And next question, it's why is there a generation gap between the young and the old? Think about the difference. Think about the differences in viewpoints. Sự khác biệt về cách nhìn nhận cuộc sống. Think about the differences in the way young people see friendship, the young people see marriage and work. Well, of course, back then people think differently about like marriage, work, and other things. But now these days, the young people no longer see their career path as only one job, you know. They can do many things, you know, these days. So it leads to a generation gap where people think they're so differently. And of course, it can lead to people not wanting to talk to each other, you know. Think about those things. And also education too. Back then, people didn't have to study as much as these days. Even right now, I have my master degree already, and I still need to learn more and more, you know. I need to continue learning, you know. But the old people, obviously, a lot of people, they don't enjoy learning that much compared to the younger generation, to be honest with you. And they think that just learn like that enough, you know. Okay, so next question. What do old people usually do in their daily life? It's not just like running around, cleaning dishes, and meeting each other, having party, something like that, you know. You need to explore this one a little bit more. Remember that old people often spend time in the old people's homes, you know, vị dưỡng lão, những vị dưỡng lão. And they often spend time in hospitals. They often spend time in parks and garden, you know. Okay. So of course they will spend time in those places, and you need to think about what activities they often do. Think about sometimes they go to beer clubs and pubs, you know, những quán rượu, quán bia nhỏ. Of course they do that, and they go to library too, libraries and museum. Okay, your time to think. Okay, let's do it. Describe someone who is older than you that you admire, please.
So I'm going to talk about a friend of mine who is 1 year older than me, he has just graduated from the same school as me. So the chance for us to strike up our relationship was when we entered the same club at school, and he asked me about an activity, and then we kept texting since then. And we and since and since then we have done a lot of things together. We have been studying together, and also we hang out with each other as well. often we go to the movies or just go to the cafe, or
Mhm.
sometimes go to the restaurant to eat. And I feel really, and I think I really admire him because of the fact that he is really good at maths. And sometimes, and whenever I have any difficulties solving my maths problem, he is always there to help me. And the way he explains to me about the test, show me the answer, it never makes me feel that I am terrible, or it never makes me feel insecure about my maths, about my math studying. But rather, I feel that I actually can solve the problem, and he helps me to overcome the fear of learning math somehow. And and also he really motivates me to try to study more so that I can get to my dream university. And I think this person is very I think this person is very friendly and is very kind, and also sometimes really humorous to me. And to me, I think he is someone that can really be a good example for me to become, who is really humble and very humorous.
Let me say, okay. So what can young and old people learn from each other?
Well, I think there are many things that young and old people can learn from each other. For example, old people can learn from young people about the ability to use technology or many digital devices. As young people are exposed to computers, to smartphones more often than old people. And that means that they have more knowledge about using those kind of devices. And they can teach old people how to use those devices to call or to text their friends so that they can keep in touch with each other, or just to watch videos or watch the news in order to entertain themselves. And on the other hand, old people can teach the young people about life, or about lessons or experiences that they have overcome in their life. For example, I think many young people can teach the young about how to assess or how to meet the right people, or to consider whether one person is good or just takes advantage of them, because they have met all kinds of people and all kinds of personalities, and as a result, they have a lot of life experiences that can pass down to the young, which is really useful. And I think the old and the young people can really help each other to become more uh, knowledgeable, and
Knowledgeable. Yeah.
yeah, and to help each other overcome any problems in life.
Okay. Right. Very good. So has old people's life quality improved when compared to the past?
Actually, I think old people's life quality has improved at some aspects when compared to the past, but also uh, there are many aspects that haven't seen any improvement. First, for example, about the improvements, I think about old people nowadays, they have better healthcare systems and better living standards, and also higher life expectancies than the
Uh-huh.
past. Nowadays, as many countries in the world have an aging population, and as a result, the number of old people is increasing day by day. So as a result, many countries and many communities now focus on focus on old people's health and their living standards so that they can satisfy this kind of age group.
It's not that easy to satisfy them. You also have to care for them, like medical care, you know. What about it?
Yeah, I think about the medical care, it does improve because I think in the past there were not enough hospitals or not enough people can who could really help old people with their health in times of war, I think. So in the past, old people often they didn't have a high life expectancy, and but nowadays modern with the modern technology and a lot of new medical treatments, old people have more chances to live longer with their families or to enjoy life in many different ways.
Mm, I see. All right, so you do think that their quality of life of old people is improved when compared to the past. I see. So why is there a generation gap between the young and the old then? The
Well,
reason. You need to explore the reasons, you know.
I think the biggest I think the main reason is why there is a generation gap between the young and the old people is because they live in different eras, which can contribute a lot to the differences in their lifestyles and or in their viewpoints. First, I think the young people nowadays are more bold, are bolder, and they are willing to take any risk, and they are more adventurous, and they really like to change a lot, so that they can fit in with the crowd, fit in with the rest of the world, and also just to satisfy their own interests to change. However, the old people are more conservative, and they have lived in the times when there were not much changes, and they were only limited, they were only confined to a certain kind of lifestyle or a kind of mindset that would follow them for the rest of their life. And as a result, the differences in their viewpoints or in their ways of dealing with different problems make create a generation gap between young and old people.
Like for example, right now I can't even talk to my dad anymore. You know, it's just like we are so different now. And yeah, it seems like people need to be more open-minded to the needs and the viewpoint of others, you know. So I think it's better to talk about like how people can solve this generation gap as well, you know. So what do you think? How can people solve the generation gap between the young and the old?
Well, I think to be honest, to solve the problem of generation gap is not an easy one.
No, it never is.
Yeah, uh, but I think there can be several solutions to this. I think in communities they should create more clubs that can attract both the young and the old,
The
or
old, the young and the old.
yeah,
Careful.
the young and the old,
Mhm.
where they can meet up with each other and share experiences, or they can open up workshops or open up meetings where both generations can share or they can learn from each other. Yeah, but I think in general, in my opinion, this problem is I think it takes a long time to solve this problem, and also it's really difficult to actually just prevent, just stop this generation gap.
I see. Okay, so so what do old people usually do in their daily life then? Let's talk about the places they often hang out at, and we can talk about like their daily activities,
Well, I think there are a lot of activities that old people usually do in their daily life. For example, for example, there are many old people who only like to stay at home and uh, to cook or to do gardening, because is their hobby, because they are their hobbies, and also because when they were young they didn't have much time or um, many chances to do those kind of activities. So when they are retired, they probably would choose to stay at home and just take up any hobbies of themselves in the past. Also, young people usually hang out with their friends or with their neighbors in parks or in gardens, or also in many clubs in the neighborhood, because these are the chances for them to meet up with to keep in touch with their friends. And because old people, I think they have a tendency to like be in places that are surrounded by their relatives or by their friends, and they really want to just talk to them about anything in their life and just to listen to their friends' stories. And moreover, I think old people, they also visit, they go to the hospitals quite often to to have a medical checkup, and to just check if they have any health problems. And if it is diagnosed
They need to
in
be
time,
treated immediately, right?
yeah, and it will not harm their health.
Or the sanity of anybody around them. Because remember, if all people are sick, people need to care for them, and a lot of the time they need to talk about their sanity because you don't want to get insane, when you take care of old people and their problems, especially if old people develop like what's it called? Dementia. Ever heard about it? Dementia. Loạn trí. Nếu mà người là cao tuổi thì họ đã bị mất trí, loạn trí rồi. Trời, nó mệt lắm luôn á. Actually, you don't want to really take care of them seriously. A lot of problems, Okay, so let's go to the next topic now. It's 91 already. Okay, so next one. What is 69? Um, let's do 69. Weird. We haven't done this one. Oh, it's a part two. I see. I see. Would you like to go back to those hard topics of crime or something like that?
Yeah,
Of
maybe.
course, you've done it before, so you should redo it because I feel like you need to redo it, you know? Okay, so describe a time when you saw someone doing something bad or someone committed a crime. You should say when the incident happened, you did this one before. You should be able to redo it or even better, make it better. You should say when the incident happened, where it was, who was involved, and how you felt about that crime, how you felt about it. And then you have part three here. Do you think that the crime rate is increasing these days? Why or why not? You can give examples about what do you think is crime? Think about online scams. These days, online scams are everywhere. you know, and it's very difficult to track them down, and catch them, you know. It's hard to track them down and catch them. That's what the police say. And think also about the people when they have no money, actually the crime rate will keep increasing. What do you think are the reason for young people committing crimes? Most of the time, it's about money, you know, most of the time. If people have no money, they are willing to do anything in order to put food on the table, you know. If people are poor and hungry, they are willing to do anything to put food on their plates, you know. And that is a reality. Think about that. And you can also talk about like peer pressure. Peer pressure from their friends. If they hang out with the wrong crowd, if they hang out with the wrong crowd, you know, of course, their friends will pressure them into committing crimes together with them, you know. And of course, that's bad because you can have a criminal record. You can have a criminal record when they become adults or adults. Có thể có một cái vết nhơ nó gọi là tiền án tiền sự khi mà họ lớn lên. They can have a criminal record when they become adults. And that is very bad because if you have a criminal record, nobody wants to hire you, you know, it's bad. And it will be harder for you to get jobs. And so the situation just get worse and worse and worse, you know. Cái tình huống nó cứ tệ hơn rồi tại vì mình không được công việc, nó lại mất tiền, nó không có tiền. No job, no money, and you keep going back into crime, you know. That's why. Okay, so think about who do you think should be held responsible or be held accountable for the wrong actions that young people do and why? Remember, according to the law, if you are not 18 yet, you cannot be persecuted. You cannot be persecuted for your crimes if you are not 18 yet. Of course, that's according to the law, but someone has to be held responsible. Một ai đó cũng phải chịu trách nhiệm cho chuyện này chứ. You know? So who do you think should be held responsible for the wrong action that young people do? Is it their guardians? Những người mà gọi là cai quản. Guardian là những người mà giống như là những người mà chưa đủ 18 tuổi thì có giám hộ, người giám hộ. Is it their guardians or is it their parents or is it anybody else should be held responsible, you know? And think about there are many cases of something called juvenile crime, you know? Tội phạm tuổi vị thành niên á. Like people committing crimes when they are not enough, when not 18 yet. This is called juvenile crimes. And very sadly, it is becoming more and more popular, you know? Now, so the next question, do you think the school system should educate people more about law and why? Do you think putting criminal in prison is the best solution to combat crime and why not? Think about other ways to combat crime. You need to, like, let's say, help ex-convicts or ex-criminals to find jobs, to assimilate into their community, you know, để mà họ hòa nhập cộng đồng nha, chứ không là lại phạm tội nữa. If they do not assimilate into their community, they will commit crimes again, you know. It's only a matter of time, you know. So there has to be a way to help them. I think that's a good way to combat crime because it's fighting crime from the very root cause, you know. So it's the root cause, nguyên do cội rễ của nó. And some some countries they just put criminals in prison, and they build or people build larger, more extensive prison system, you know, like for example in America. And look at what happens. They have a lot of criminals. They have too many criminals to care for. It's like that. Think about that. And think about also hardened criminals can teach the others to commit crimes while being in prison, you know. Nó dạy nhau những cái tội phạm mà đã cứng cựa, đã gọi là hết thuốc, lờn thuốc rồi á. Người ta dạy những đứa khác để mà phạm tội trong khi còn trong nhà tù nha. To commit crimes while being in prison, that is very bad. Right, I say. Okay, do you think that your country should take domestic abuse or domestic violence more seriously? You remember what those are, right? Domestic abuse. Nó gọi là bạo hành gia đình. Or we call them domestic violence. Do you think your country should take these things more seriously? And should the police do something about it? Should there be a law against it? You know, people hit each other, they fight each other, and then they hurt each other a lot from time to time, you know. Okay, so think about what could a victim experience when they have a domestic violence. Of course, it can hurt them deeply, and it leaves an unhealable pain or trauma on them. Nó để lại một cái cơn đau mà không thể nào mà lành được luôn á, hoặc là những cái gọi là trauma, chấn thương ở trên họ, or trauma on them both, like physically or mentally, you know, về mặt thể chất và tinh thần luôn nha. So think about those things. But the problem is the Vietnamese police often think of domestic abuse or domestic violence as a personal matter, you know. Họ thường nghĩ là mấy cái chuyện này là chuyện cá nhân thôi. And they don't often do anything about it, you know. That's bad. Now, next question. Do you think that your country should take verbal abuse more seriously? You know, verbal abuse, right? Verbal means what you talk about. Verbal abuse, bạo hành về lời nói. This one actually happens a lot in Vietnamese community because from their family, their parents often scold their children. You know, ba má thường la mắng con. It's like in a tradition. It's like in the culture of Vietnam, when parents often scold their children, and a lot of the time, it leaves an unhealable pain or trauma on them. Yes, để lại những cái chấn thương về tâm lý rất là nặng lên trẻ nhỏ luôn á. And of course, they often use verbal abuse on other people as well. Thường là có thể dùng những cái bạo hành về lời nói đó với người khác nữa nha. Think about what happens online, you know. Think about online dramas, you know, and online behaviors of people. Hãy nghĩ về những hành vi trên mạng của con người. Có lý do tại sao người Việt hành vi trên mạng quá tệ. There's actually a reason why a lot of Vietnamese people have a very bad online behaviors. I think it's because of verbal abuse from their own family, you know. I think so. Okay, think about that. Should your country take verbal abuse more seriously? Should they to make it how can I say, to pass a law against it? Có nên thông qua một điều luật chống lại điều đó không? To pass a law against it, should they do that? Now, do you think that making the law stricter is a good way to combat crimes? like making the law stricter, you know, like worse punishment, more money punishment, more years in prison, you know, is it a good way? This is very similar to this question. Now, school rules should be easier to answer. What kind of rules do school in your country have? Think about rules of students having to wear uniforms. Think about rules where people cannot open their textbooks during exams. They cannot use their phone during exams, something like that. Or they have to they cannot go into like rooms where they're not supposed to, you know, không được vào những phòng mà các em không được vào chẳng hạn, something like that. So school is basically just like a prison, in my opinion, but it allows people in and out, yes, from time to time. And of course, there are punishment in schools too. Look at detention room, phòng giám thị, phòng phạt. And think about detention. So you, of course, you have a school discipline teacher. Giám thị, I think it's discipline teacher. I'm not so sure if that's the name of them. Probably some kind of guardians, I think. Những người mà cai quản, I think guardians or school discipline teachers, I think. They keep the schools, you know, and the rules. Now think about what can teachers do to make students obey rules. Have you ever taught people before? Like your sister, brother, something like that? Then you should probably know this one. Miss Thư, your microphone's off. Can you turn on your microphone? Okay. Have you taught people before?
I have taught my brother.
I say, I think you probably need to know, like, what can teachers do to make students obey rules? Need to explain to them why they have to do that and the consequences if they do not. You know, but I think it's probably much more effective if there are some consequences that happens, you know. It's much more effective. Cho thấy được hậu quả luôn. Khỏi nói nữa, khỏi nói nhiều. It's like that. It's more effective. Now, what should parents do to educate children about the law of your country? Think about what kind of law. Traffic law, most of the time it's traffic law. Labor law, luật lao động đó nha, important. Think about, and also I think these are the two major laws that people need to know. And what should people do? What should parents do to educate them on the law of your country? Of course, they need to read books and seek advice from experts. Of course, experts know. And also parents need to abide by the rules themselves, you know. Cha mẹ cũng cần phải tuân thủ luật pháp đó nha, để con mới theo được. And also parents, they need to be a good example. Need to be a good example for their children to follow. Because if their parents do not abide by the law, don't expect their children to abide by the law, you know. Cha mẹ mà không tuân thủ theo luật, đừng có mong mà con tuân thủ theo luật nha, thiệt luôn á. It's something that is quite obvious, but a lot of people don't understand that. Weird. Now, does your country have any laws you not agree with? I think we've been through this. Okay, you have some time to think about this huge topic of 70. Okay, Ms. Thư, please describe a time when you saw someone doing something bad or someone committed a crime.
So I'm going to talk about a time when I was on a bus and I saw someone committing a crime. Well, I think it was quite a long time ago when when I had to travel on a bus to get home after school, and on that bus, because it was during rush hours, so the bus was full of people, and it was really hard to notice any actions from anyone. And I sat there and I saw a middle-aged man who tried to pickpocket from an old woman. And because I was sitting quite close to that man, and I saw he stealing money, and also at the same time, uh, another person also noticed his illegal action, and then she told everyone else, and then he was forced, and that man was forced to get off the bus, and the money was returned to that old woman, which was a relief. And this and this happened right in front of my eyes, and at that time I felt really unsafe and uncomfortable with that kind of action, and I feel like I can easily get my items or my personal things lost at any time if I'm if I am not careful with my things. And and after this incident, I always have to remind myself to uh, always check my purse or my backpack so that I do not miss anything or just do not let anyone have any chance to steal anything from me, especially my personal cards or items.
I see. Okay, so what kind of rules do school in your country have?
Well, in schools in my country have a lot of different kinds of set of rules. Um, for example, first, I think schools in my country have strict rules about clothes. It is imperative for that students wear uniform every single day at school, and also in some schools, many female students are uh, many female students are forced to wear aozai, a traditional costume in my country, every morning or in specific days during the week. And if the students do not obey these rules, they are probably get punishment, such as call the parents or just um, uh, or like lower their grade at school. Second, I think schools in my country also have uh, many rules about students' behavior. Uh, it is that students always have to greet their teachers in a very formal way and to show respect to their teachers because it is considered a very rude because it is considered rude if students do not greet their teachers if they go by or and sometimes many children will get punished for that kind of behavior as well. So I think, and of course, I think students always have to finish their homework before going to school, which is I think is compulsory in any kind of schools in my country as well. So I think those are the main kinds of rules. I think the general kinds of rules that schools in my country have.
Okay, so does your country have any laws you do not agree with?
Well, actually, I think I do not have any disapproval of. any laws in my country? Well, I think every time that my country introduces any laws, it is obvious that they have overcome, undergo, they have undergone a lot of tests, a lot of surveys, so that it can be the most effective and suitable for anyone in my country to obey. For example, about traffic laws, people are forced. People are not allowed to. Um, People are not allowed to uh, ride a motorbike without a helmet, which is
You don't agree with that law?
no. I agree with that law
Mhm.
because I think about just a 20 or 30 years ago, that law didn't really exist. And I think at that time it could cause a lot of road accidents. And with this law, people who wear helmets can really help to prevent any risk of hitting their head on the road or just damaging their brain. So I think in general, to just bring in any laws, my country has the government that my country has to go through a lot of consideration and a lot of tests or surveys, and the laws are, I think, the most suitable and really good for anyone in my country to follow.
I see. Well, actually, if you do your hair very well and you have beautiful hair, you wouldn't want to wear helmets. You know, I understand exactly what you mean. Basically, because I do, sometimes I want to show the fact that I have beautiful hair, you know, and of course, the helmets hinder all of that. But then it helps me greatly to prevent accidents and you know, you never know. You don't want to die because some weird people just drunk and then drive their motorbike without helmets and then smash into you and then you fell down on the street and hit a rock in your head, something like that, you know. You don't want that. So I do agree with that one, but I also do not agree. You know, it's like anyway, so Mr. What can teachers do to make students obey rules then?
I think with different students, teachers can do can do a lot of things to make them obey the rules. For example, I think the punishment will be the most popular and somehow the most effective method to make students obey the rules. I think because as students, um, anyone can anyone will feel that uh, anyone will fear punishment, such as calling their parents or lower a grade in their test, which can directly harm their um, academic results or their um, or they can get scolded by their parents. So I think for most students, punishment will be the most effective if they don't obey the rules. Then teachers can punish them in different ways, so that they can learn a lesson and then try to follow the rules. Also, I think teachers can talk to students about the effects or about the impacts of not obeying rules. Mm, I think it is because I think it is that when students haven't do not obey the rules um, since they were still students, then when they grow up, it can make them become less disciplined and they and sometimes it can be really hard for them to obey any kind of rules in the future, which can be really damaging to their career or their behavior in public.
Mm. You know, it's actually better to show. I think there should be tours so that students can go to prisons, you know, and visit prisoners and to see what will happen to them if they commit crimes, you know, and get caught by the police, you know. I think it's a good way. But so far, I haven't seen any tours like that being, you know, made. But I think people should do that, you know. So, what should parents do to educate children about the laws of your country?
Well, I think parents should to educate children about the laws of my country. I think parents should. The first and the most effective way is for parents themselves to obey the rules, to set a good example for their children to follow. Because, as a matter of fact, children are definitely affected the most by their parents about their lifestyle and about their behaviors. And some children have a tendency to just copy and just follow whatever their parents do. And if the parents do not set a good example and the parents try to break the laws or just to bend it, and it is obvious that children will learn from it. And when there is no consequence, and when there is no consequence, children will probably continue doing those illegal activities without realizing the risk or the consequences that can happen to them in the
Mm.
future.
Like,
Also,
for example, exactly, like let's talk about labor law then. Like parents should talk to to their children about labor law, like what benefits they should receive when they work, you know, insurance, health checkup, how many days a probation period when they work, like được thời kỳ thử việc là bao nhiêu lâu, lương thử việc bao nhiêu, salary during probation, something like that. You have to know those things, you know, if you don't want your children to get exploited. Không muốn con mình bị bóc lột thì phải cho con biết mấy đó nha. And also traffic law, of course, they have to follow. Okay, so do you think that the crime rate is increasing these days? Why not?
to be honest, I think that crime is an ongoing trend, not only in the past but also in the present, and also I think in the future. The crime rate will undoubtedly increase somehow. Mm, I- but however, I think in different countries, the level and the degree of crime rate will be different. But I think mostly nowadays, uh, the reason for crime rate is due to unemployment rate among a lot of young people. Uh, in the era of modern technology, uh, it is easy for people to be replaced by AI and and many machines, and as a result, they sometimes get um, they're sometimes they're sometimes out of work,
Mhm.
and that means that they do not have enough money or enough money to take care of themselves and also their families,
Okay.
or just to meet the basic needs of a human. And that's when they have a tendency to carry out some kind of crime, such as stealing or pickpocketing from
Pickpocketing,
other people.
scamming people. Remember that 2024 is actually a very bad year with economy, you know. So you can see so many online scammers these days, so many of them. and so many cases of people getting scammed, All right, so what do you think are the reasons for young people committing crimes then? If they hang out with the wrong people or something like that?
Well, I think there are numerous reasons for why young people commit crimes. First, I think the first and the most popular reason, the main reason is for money. Well, as a result of the modernized modernized world with a lot of new machines and AI, um, young people do not cannot stand a chance uh, of competing with those kind of machines in the um, working market, and as a result, uh, many young people who do not have the suitable credentials can easily be can easily be fired, or they just cannot find any work at all, and that means that they do not have enough money to take care of themselves, and it leads to their illegal activities such as stealing or scamming from other people to have enough money without having to struggling every single day to find a job for themselves.
Mm, I agree. Now,
Also
so,
thinking,
yes,
yeah, uh,
but then when they commit crimes, when they do something wrong, who do you think should be held responsible for their wrong actions that young people do and why?
well, I think the people who should be held responsible for the wrongdoings of young people are their parents and their schools. As a matter of fact, these two factors can really affect young people's actions. And when they commit crime or when they do something wrong, it is largely due to their parents or their schools, because schools and parents are the first and the main instructors of children, uh, and they play an important part in shaping the young people's personality or behaviors. And when young people do something wrongly, when young people do something wrong, uh, it means that schools and parents do not have enough care or do not have enough, and they do not care enough about the young people and just let them do whatever they want, which can involve meeting up with the bad people or
Hmm.
doing illegal activities such as drug dealing or stealing. So I think, in general, schools and parents will be the first to be responsible for the wrong actions of young people.
I say, do you think the school system should educate people more about the law and why? Because in the curriculum these days, I feel like it's not enough. It's like things are very blurry. A lot of people who graduated from high school, they don't even know anything about the law. So what do you think?
Well, I think it is really necessary for the school system to educate people more about law. Well, um, actually, in the curriculum in many school, laws are taught. However, it is not really efficient, and sometimes people just do not have enough knowledge, and they do not remember it really well when they graduate. And as a result, when they get into the workforce or they just enter the real life of an adult, it is really hard for them to know any laws, and sometimes they just break the laws without realizing that. For example,
Realizing that.
yeah, realizing that. For example, about the labor law, many people, it is true that labor law is taught in many school systems. However, I feel like it is not enough for people to understand and to remember. Mm, because in school it is not considered an important le- it is not it is not considered an important subject or an important matter to for many students to care about, and as a result they just barely understand anything about the law.
It's
Probably
like
they just,
scratching the
yeah,
surface of of it, you know.
yeah.
How can I say like scratching the surface of the issue, you know? Giống như là chỉ gãi ngứa trên cái bề mặt của cái vấn đề thôi. Scratching the surface of the issue. And people have no idea at all about many things regarding law. That's why many people struggle when it comes to this topic of law, you know, and crimes and things like that. I see. So do you think putting criminals in prisons is the best solution to combat crimes? Why not?
Well, actually, I think putting criminals in prisons is a good solution to combat crime. However, it is not the best. Um, for example, in many cases, there are many hardened criminals who are too familiar with just getting in and out of prisons, and sometimes they do not just, and sometimes they do not even care about their illegal activities anymore, and they feel like being put in prisons is a, a normal thing for them. And this kind of criminals cannot, I think they cannot just, I think putting them in prisons will somehow not a good solution. I think instead uh, they should be put in many uh, they should be put in many places, in many clubs, or where they are made to do community services, such as sweeping the streets, helping the unfortunate, or helping the old. And this way it does not only help to just improve the community, but also make the criminals understand the hard work of understand the hard work that they have to do when they commit crime.
The hard work that they have to do when they commit crimes? Seriously?
Like
What do
if
you
they
mean by that?
commit crime, they have to do a lot of things without getting any reward. Mm,
You mean, of course, preparation, organization of crimes. You know, you mean organized crime, right? Are you talking about organized crime? Tội phạm có tổ chức.
yeah, maybe.
Right, I see. But you don't agree that putting animals in prison is the best
Yeah,
solution,
no,
right?
no,
You
I
know.
think it is good, but however, it is not the best because sometimes people just too familiar with it and they do not care anymore. I
Hmm.
think we should teach them to do like not putting them in prisons too much, but I think teach them to do carpentry, or somehow that they can rejoin the workforce and to make a living themselves, and they feel like they do not have to commit any crime to survive anymore.
Hmm. I see. Now, do you think that your country should take domestic abuse more seriously? Why not?
Definitely, I think it is necessary for my country to take verbal abuse more seriously.
No, I'm talking about domestic abuse. Careful, domestic abuse.
Oh yeah,
Like
right.
people hitting each other, like wife and husband hitting each other when they are having conflicts and fighting, and then of course people getting hit and they of course they bleed or they have bruises. They have bruises and bị bầm tím do đánh nhau, something like that, in the family. These things happen a lot. So, do you think your country should take domestic abuse or domestic violence more seriously? Why not? Bạo hành gia đình. You think there should be law, something like that?
Definitely, I think that it is really necessary for my country to take domestic abuse more seriously. Because, for example, during the COVID-19, the rate of domestic abuse um,
Reason.
has increased a lot, and that can be cases about stepmothers or stepfathers hurting the other's partner child,
Mm.
or it can be parents hurting their children, and sometimes even with husbands and wives to get against each other. And this kind of domestic abuse can be really detrimental to both the physical and the mental health of anyone
Including the
suffering from it.
children. Think
Yeah,
about children
especially
suffering
children.
when like their parents do that.
When the children, even when they are involved in that kind of domestic abuse or not, if they are the victim or when they just witness their parents fighting against each other, it can really be damaging to their mental health, because I think uh, it those kind of actions that children witness can can be a kind of a terrible experience for them in their childhood, and as a result when they grow up, I think it is likely that they will um, do it again with their children.
You mean
Or
it's like a karmic debts they have to pay. Nó giống như là một cái nợ đời, giống như nợ một số mạng đó. It's a karmic debts they have to pay, but the problem is they do not pay it, they pass it. They pass the karmic debts to their children. Giống như là truyền cái nợ về số mạng đó cho đứa con. It's like that, and it will never be paid. It will never be solved, so the trauma keep going on. Cái sự mà giống như là cái trauma, cái chấn thương đó về chân tâm lý, nó cứ liên tục nó chạy chạy trong gia đình vậy đó. you know right, so do you think that your country should take verbal abuse more seriously? It's about verbal abuse now.
definitely, I think verbal abuse should be taken more seriously, because it can severely harm a person's mental health. And sometimes, in many cases, uh, people who suffer from this kind of abuse can be can face depression, or sometimes they just um, try, and sometimes they will commit, and sometimes they can uh, because I think this verbal abuse can really harm a person's mental health, as they can face depression, or sometimes they will try suicide, which
To
is
commit
really,
suicide, right?
yeah, which is really terrible for both the involved for both the people who involve and also the victims.
I agree. I agree. Okay. Okay, I agree. Now, so do you think that I mean, making the law stricter, it's a good way to combat crimes? Why not? Should they make it the law stricter? Like, for example, like Singapore. You know, Singapore actually has a rule, very strict rule, in which if you are the one who found with like about 10 milligrams of any drugs, you know, illegal drugs, you will have to face death penalty. Tử hình với bất kỳ nhân vật nào được tìm thấy trên 10 mg ma túy trong người. Yep. It's actually a very strict law from Singapore. Very it's a notorious law from Singapore actually, một cái luật mà nó gọi là khét tiếng luôn á ở Singapore. You think they should make the law stricter to combat crimes? Why not? It's all about fear, you know. People would not likely to commit it, you know.
Well, I think that making a law stricter can be considered a good way to combat crimes. It is because about the fear of committing crimes.
And the fear
And
of punishment, right?
yeah, when people are punished severely for their illegal actions, uh, that does not only make that person become more aware of their bad bad actions, but also set a good example for other people, so that they will not make the same mistakes with committing the crimes anymore. And when they are afraid of those kind of punishment that the criminals can get, it is obvious that people will not even try to think about doing anything illegal, but will always consider about the consequences that they can get if they commit crimes. For example, in Singapore, if someone just carries about 10 grams of drugs, they have to face death penalty, which is a very strict rule for a country. And as a result, I think there are less people who will try to carry any drugs by their side. But
It's called drug trafficking, you know. Drug trafficking. Buôn lậu, nó gọi là buôn ma túy á. Thôi giống như kiểu mà nhét vô người cái thứ á. It's called drug trafficking, you know, very bad one. Okay. Okay, I think we can end here. It's good enough. Very good.